Hey everyone, I was at a bit of a loss for what to do for my next video, until I remembered the wonderful YouTube channel FreedomToons. Usually I try to give my videos some sort of large, overarching thesis or point to make them feel a bit more relevant and important to me, but yeah, we're not going to do that today. Today we're just going to be making fun of the very talented animator / very untalented critical thinker who makes these videos. So let's get into it. Video 1.
FreedomToons.
Well, it's been a while, but I'm finally back in school. Can't wait to get some learning done.
Hello, class. Today I will be teaching you about history.
You're in charge of the schools as well?
Well, why don't you tell us your name, young man?
You know who I am.
We're going to start with a standardized test, just to make sure that none of you are idiots. Oh no, you're an idiot! Who would have thought?
What? How?
Well, for number 7, the question was, what ended child labor? And you wrote economic and technological development. But the answer, once again, was me.
What? But child labor was already disappearing before there were any laws on the books to prevent it. By the 1930s, only 6% of kids aged 10 to 15 were being used as child labor, and 75% of them were working in agriculture, mostly on their parents' farms. And in urban areas, child labor was practically non-existent. But the national law against child labor wasn't passed until 1938. Whether or not one wants to argue these laws are necessary today is beside the point. It's clear that you can't take credit for ending child labor.
Ugh.
Okay, so I'm noticing a problem right away here. He has loads of sources in the description. In fact, he has 5 sources to back up his claim, which I didn't mention because it's kind of boring. We've got a lot of videos to get through. Watch the original by yourself if you want. But not a single source for all of these statistics that he directly quotes here. Sometimes I forget to cite videos. It's a thing that can happen, you know. It's YouTube. It's not a scholarly article. Mistakes happen. Sometimes you forget. Whatever. Just kind of weird that he forgot one that he directly cites while remembering to link 5 articles for the last point. And of course, nobody would give the state credit for ending child labor. Federal laws totally banning child labor didn't just come out of the benevolent mind of this guy. They came out of a decades-long struggle from labor organizers and unions. To look at it the way FreedomToons is here, that capitalists sort of just gave their workers new rights because they were nice people or were just so rich that they allowed things to get better. It's sort of like... You got another question wrong, Stickman. Question 12 asks, who is responsible for the founding of the United States of America? And you put, the British Empire. But the correct answer is the Founding Fathers.
Well, actually, before the Founding Fathers even declared independence, there was lots of people who wanted independence. So really, the British Empire allowed the Americans to have independence because their empire was already advancing so much and so powerful.
Oh, also, did anybody notice that he snuck this in here?
But the national law against child labor wasn't passed until 1938. Whether or not one wants to argue these laws are necessary today is beside the point.
Just full mask-off child labor supporter here. Wanting poor kids to spend their childhood working really puts the liberty in libertarianism. Okay, next video. Video 2.
FreedomToons.
Look, I don't agree with it, but if 2 gay people want to live together or act as a couple, I could care less. I just don't want them forcing Christian photographers to participate in their weddings, or sue Christian bakers for not catering a ceremony their religion prohibits them from taking part in.
You are seriously so paranoid. That doesn't happen and it never will. It's just a rumor spread by bigots like you to promote fear of gay tolerance. If you don't bake cakes for gay couples, you are seriously bigoted, and I don't feel bad for you if you get fined out of business or thrown in jail.
Yeah, sure, I don't have a problem with gay people. I just have a problem with them having civil rights. Listen, I don't have a problem with black people. I just don't want them forcing white people to have to use the same water fountains as them, or white bus drivers to let them sit near the front.
It's asinine to say that supporting due process for those accused of terrorism means you somehow support the terrorist. Everyone should be seen as innocent until proven guilty. And if we don't support due process for those accused of even the worst crimes, we don't support it for anyone. If you support due process for people accused of rape, that just means you think rape is okay. It should be guilty until proven innocent, you rape apologist.
Yes, the classic leftist position of rapists don't deserve due process? When people say believe women, they don't mean literally throw anyone accused of rape in jail immediately without trial. They mean, take it seriously, have a trial, don't sweep it under the rug like happens so much in cases of sexual assault, especially when it was supposedly perpetrated by somebody in a position of power.
You think everything's bigotry. Before we know it, just being straight will be considered homophobic.
You are seriously so dumb. Oh my gosh. Such an insane slippery slope fallacy. We're never going to call somebody a bigot for not wanting to have sex with a man. If you won't have sex with a transgender woman, you're transphobic.
Okay, listen, Mr. FreedomToons. You can have sex with whoever you like. No matter what, it won't make you transphobic. You are for other reasons, so whether or not you want to be the type of transphobe who is deeply attracted to trans people like Nick Fuentes, or the kind that isn't, you're just as pathetic to me. Video 3.
Society hates women! We live under patriarchy! Huh. I don't know. I mean, I've always felt most responsible adults kind of see it as a grass is greener thing. Men have it hard in some areas, women have it hard in other areas.
No, that's not true because there's no such thing as sexism against men.
How do you figure?
Because society hates women.
Why do you think that?
Because it's never sexist against men.
Uh-huh.
This video is already amazing. I am unreasonable and loud and look funny. I disagree with the creator of this video. Weird. I always thought that most sound-minded adults believe everything I do. I'm very put together, and I'm willing to have a discussion. I am angry and triggered. I can't construct a coherent argument. Here's the Stickman remake of this video so far. Abortion should be banned. Really? I thought everyone just kind of looked at it as a personal choice thing. No. Abortion is evil because one time I came home from work at the deportation factory and someone in a Planned Parenthood shirt was making love to my wife. Well, that doesn't seem like a very reasonable argument for banning a woman's right to... In fact, there were tons of people in Planned Parenthood shirts nailing my wife. They were lined up down the whole block. Your pro-choice people just want to have sex with my wife.
Look at all these reasons that prove society is unfair to women. This proves we live under patriarchy.
Look at all these ways in which society is unfair to men.
Those don't count. If society exists to privilege men and oppress women, those things can't be the result of sexism.
No. If society exists to privilege men and oppress women, those things wouldn't happen. All you're doing is rejecting evidence that men have it difficult in some areas so that you won't have to adjust your original theory that sexism only happens to women. That's called circular reasoning. Look, I can do it too. We live under matriarchy. Look at all these reasons why. See how hard men have it?
You're selectively editing out the negatives of being a woman. Look at all these ways in which women have a hard time.
Oh, sweetie, no, those don't count because we live under matriarchy.
By definition, sexism against women doesn't count. It's really problematic that you don't recognize this. And the fact that so many women deny the patriarchy exists is really just proof of patriarchy itself.
Okay, now we get to the real meat of the video here, the list of reasons why men are oppressed. Now's the time for the big feminazi socialist stickman to tell men to just get over it, right? No. Patriarchy can be very damaging to men as well. If Sir FreedomToons had done any research before writing his fictional debate, he would know this. It is very widely accepted within feminism as a movement that patriarchy is damaging to men as well. Like, take the point, more likely to lose custody of kids in house and divorce. Did you notice that it seems very connected to the feminist point that women are expected to raise kids? The same patriarchal standards that result in that expectation result in men losing custody more of the time. Like, I'm not some kind of feminist scholar, but patriarchy isn't some kind of perfect ideology or system to benefit men. While it primarily serves to our benefit, there are certainly some unintended drawbacks. Welcome to Patriarchy Whoopsies with Stickman. Good evening, Council of Bros. Our attempt to entrench the supremacy of brohood have been mostly successful. Unfortunately, there have been some unintended side effects that I would like to discuss. Here's goal number 1. Make women the de facto child raisers / homemakers. We did this so only bros could go out and have fulfilling lives with freedom and stuff. But unfortunately, downside, men have to work more than women and they see less of their kids, especially after divorce. Goal number 2. Make men the super sick strong boy heroes and women helpless damsels. This made us feel really cool and helped out with completing the first goal. However, downside, I can't express my emotions anymore, I don't want to seek help, and thus have an increased risk of suicide. Also, we have most dangerous jobs. That was Patriarchy Whoopsies with Stickman. Now, back to the dumbest show on earth.
Oh, please give me one example of why men have it hard, besides all of the examples you've given.
Okay, men make up 93% of workplace fatalities, and no one ever talks about it.
Well, yeah, but that's only because women are kept out of dangerous careers as a result of sexism.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. I just pointed out one of the most horrific examples of sexism that exists against men, and you still find a way to make women the victims.
We are the victims! It's called benevolent sexism.
Benevolent sexism? You mean female privilege?
I did not edit this. Let's make sure we fully grasp what just happened there. A real person sat down, wrote a video where he debates a fictional person with terrible arguments, refuted those arguments that, let me remind you, he wrote, and then added clips of people reacting like he just dunked on her and totally destroyed her. Like, I'm actually losing my mind. Playing that clip is one of the most embarrassing things I've seen on YouTube in a long time. Now it's time to address the main problem with this video, and to be honest, most FreedomToons videos. But to do so, I'm actually going to bring out my cousin, Strawman, to explain it, since he has been featured in all of these videos without his prior consent. Yeah, hi, I'm Strawman. I'm just mad at FreedomToons because he's violating my right to privacy. I didn't give him permission to feature me in his videos, and yet I'm in every single one of them, and frankly, he's being really racist about it. Not all straw men are absurd caricatures of opposition arguments designed to be easily refuted. That's an offensive stereotype.
All right, our pizza's ready.
That's a good pizza.
That is just offensive.
That's a good pizza. All right, Eric, you get 4 slices and I get 4.
Good stuff. Let's make another one. A bigger one.
Okay, but I'm gonna have to get a new oven if we want to make it any bigger.
Okay.
Okay, I got a new oven to make us an even larger pizza!
Radical.
And I'm really hungry and exhausted after installing that new oven, so I'm just gonna take an extra slice if that's cool.
Now I'm only getting 3 slices? I have less pizza than before.
That is just not accurate.
By the slice is the wrong way of measuring it, because the slices have increased in size.
I ain't got no darn pizza, friendo Nintendo. The hungry get hungrier in this capitalist kitchen, bourgeois swine.
But you have more pizza than you used to.
No, everything needs to be equal, which is split the pizza 50-50. That's what they do in socialist kitchens.
But Eric, look at all the extra toppings. Not only do you have more pizza overall, but there are more ingredients on each slice.
Okay, what's that supposed to be a metaphor for?
Luxury goods. If you were to look back to the 1980s, you would scarcely find a poor family which had multiple TVs, let alone cable, and they certainly wouldn't have internet access or cell phones. Heck, a lot of them probably wouldn't even have microwaves.
Microwaves? That's not a luxury good. I've got hella microwaves. I got a microwave in every room. I don't leave the house without at least 3 microwaves on me. I repeat, microwaves are not a luxury good.
Not anymore, thanks to a market economy.
No, wealth inequality is a crime. I don't care how much I have. You have more than me, and that shouldn't be allowed.
Well, there goes the oven. I can buy us a new one to make more pizza. Or we could do this stupid 50-50 split thing, in which case I won't be able to recoup my costs and I won't have any incentive to take the risk of buying a massive oven.
Maybe you should put the fire out first? Then we can discuss this.
No, Eric, you need to make your choice.
I think I've made my mind up.
Here's your half.
Income equality.
Okay, right off the bat, FreedomToons doesn't understand how the economy works. I actually think it's pretty fair to say that he doesn't understand how any economy works. That's because he doesn't understand the labor theory of value. So here's Stickman presents a very quick explanation of the labor theory of value because most people watching probably understand it, and to be honest, it's really not that complicated. Basically, the labor theory of value just states that the value of raw materials increases only when labor is applied to it. So it's the reason that somebody can buy wood and steel, make a hammer, and sell it for a profit. It's fairly common sense. When you're at your job, you are increasing the value of X so that your boss can sell X for an increased price. FreedomToons doesn't understand this. He seems to think that capitalists generate value seemingly just through hoarding the means of production, since he owns the oven and makes the food. Could be wrong here, but it seems like he's making an argument that I often hear. I like to call it okay, I don't have a name for it, but let me paint you a picture and I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about. So picture this. You're talking with a liberal about socialism. You explain how workers generate value through their labor, and capitalists get rich by exploiting that and paying workers less than the value they generate. Basically, capitalists are leeches on society who get super rich off other people's work. But here, your liberal friend stops you. Hold on a minute. The capitalist also has to work very hard. They had to manage the company and take the initial risk to start it. They could have failed and lost everything. It was a huge risk, so they deserve what they have. And I've just now realized I've started sincerely making my very own crappy version of a FreedomToons video within my own video debunking FreedomToons. So I'm going to stop now. Okay, here's why the argument is bad. For one thing, it's very weird to base one's support for an exploitative and immoral system on how risky it was for somebody to put themselves on top within that system. And just to be clear, if the conversation has gotten to this point, you've proven it's immoral. Otherwise, they would have argued why it wasn't, not why that's fine. Like, let's wind the clock back a few hundred years and rehab this conversation, shall we? I just don't think kings deserve all their power over our lives and all of their wealth when we do all the work. But he probably had to work really hard to get there and take lots of risks. Sure, some kings inherit their title, but look at Napoleon. He pulled himself up by his bootstraps and made himself emperor. That was a huge risk he took. His coup could have failed. So basically, it's justified, and if some sort of economic system were currently forming in which people theoretically could take risks to become the king of some sort of industry or company, I think it would be fully justified too. Because it's just so risky. Like the risks, oh my god, I'm so scared of risking. Risks are crazy. I like the board game Risk. This is also an argument that no socialist ever has to engage in. Like the work that capitalists needed to do to gain their position, it isn't labor. It only exists under capitalism. If we had a society where anyone who cracked 1,000 eggs into a volcano was granted like 1,000,000 slaves, these people would be like, nah, he earned all the money those slaves make him. Someone's got to go crack those volcano eggs. I bet it was a lot of work to crack all those volcano eggs. Nobody has to crack the volcano eggs. We can get rid of that. He also seems to think that capitalists only take money to recoup costs, which is odd, but not that insane since he thinks that capitalists make all the pizza. Can't even imagine how hard this man thinks Jeff Bezos works if he doesn't know about profit yet. He must genuinely think that Jeff Bezos works 475,000 times harder than his employees, even when he's asleep. Okay, I'm kind of in the minutia right now, so let's talk about the main point of this video. He's saying that capitalism makes everyone richer, so it's okay that some people have more. Very common argument. You've heard it before. It's very dumb. Capitalism doesn't make wealth, workers do. The only person who benefits from one person not doing anything to produce wealth and then taking most of it on the back end is that one person. People often cite stats on global extreme poverty to prove this point. Extreme poverty is living on less than $1.90 a day, so it's an incredibly low bar to pat themselves on the back for. 2/3 of the world live on less than $10 a day, and 10 million people starve to death every year, and we produce enough food to feed 10 billion people every year. Capitalism doesn't improve poverty. In fact, when it's working as intended, there's like 1.5 Holocausts every year from preventable starvation alone. So, bad point, bad video. Let's watch the last video of the day so I can wrap this thing up, shall we?
Oh, we are owed.
Indeed.
What are you guys protesting?
The 1%.
Aren't you the 1%?
No, the 1% of the 1%.
We're millionaires, but they're billionaires.
Billionaires, I say, stop hoarding your money. Yes, give us some. No. Work hard for it like we did.
It's not fair. They have so much more money.
I mean, all things considered, so do you guys. Maybe you should count your blessings?
That's right. Listen to the boy.
You've just been brainwashed by the Fox News into taking that attitude. They should be giving us what's rightfully ours.
But you have everything you need to survive and then some.
Yes, but I only have 3 yachts. Keep your money-grubbing hands away from my hard-earned yachts.
What makes you think you deserve more yachts than I?
Look, dude, I don't like that they're hoarding their money any more than you do. But if you want them to be more generous, well, set an example. If you were truly protesting wealth inequality from a place of compassion and not from a place of greed, well, why don't you give your money to those in need? You could really make a difference. There are a lot of people in the world with a lot less than you.
People in the world with less than us? Is he deaf?
You mean to tell me there's people who have less than 3 yachts?
A few, yeah.
Outrageous. They should be given yachts as well. All the more reason we need these billionaires to chip in, I say. Yachts are a human right.
Yachts are not a human right.
I say you wish to take our yachts away? Have you no compassion?
Do you know how insane you sound? Not everything you want is a human right. Are you seriously so spoiled that you don't see how rich you truly are compared to the rest of the world? If you want to help the poor, go help them. But stop scapegoating the small minority of people in the world who happen to have more than you do.
Are you saying you don't want to help the poor?
Oh no, you're an idiot! Who would have thought?
Oh yeah? You're a barista from Atlanta? Well, you live in America. Sorry, your problems don't matter. Oh no, you're living paycheck to paycheck and want universal health care so you don't become homeless next time you have to go to the hospital? Well, guess what? There are children making $1 a day in my factories in Sri Lanka, so maybe check your privilege. Yeah, this one's pretty obvious, right? Your problems don't go away just because other people in the world have it worse. What a dick this guy is. The exploitation of the third world is absolutely despicable and significantly worse than it is in Western countries. But you're still being exploited if you're a worker in the first world. Just because some people have it worse than you doesn't mean an injustice isn't being committed, and it certainly doesn't mean you should be shamed by people like FreedomToons into silence. He calls it scapegoating at the end, but that's probably one of the most wrong words you could possibly use to describe this. The people who the 1% in this cartoon are protesting are directly responsible for the mass poverty that FreedomToons is feigning so much worry for here. They're the capitalists who pay people $1 a day in Sri Lanka to make shoes, and then pay someone in America $10 an hour to sell those shoes, both wages being less than the value those individuals generated for them. These billionaires just get to sit there as this YouTuber licks their boots until they're sparkly clean, and while he tells the people who they exploit, less than the other people they exploit, that they're too spoiled. What a dick.